This is Melissa Juracic for PSY4407, presenting on gender discrimination during recruitment in STEM fields. So a little bit of background. STEM fields tend to be disproportionately male-dominated and are viewed as stereotypically masculine fields. Traits associated with masculinity are often sought in STEM job vacancy postings, so being rational, being mathematical, being dominant, for example. And gender bias in recruitment is actually cited as the top reason why women are less motivated to apply for STEM roles. Just digging a little deeper, so Fleming et al. In their study found that 45% of respondents, both male and female, rated men as better suited to working in STEM occupations. Respondents tended to click faster on gender stereotype congruent stimuli, so e.g. men STEM versus incongruent stimuli, which was women STEM or neutral stimuli. Now, Kubler et al. Didn't study specifically STEM industries, but looked across a wide range of industries, but found on average women are evaluated more negatively than men. Even women with high grade point averages are still rated as less qualified than males with similar grade point averages. Female applicants as well to male-dominated fields were rated more negatively when compared with intersex or female-dominated fields. Now, this is not to say that bias is inherently hostile or malicious. In fact, when looking for the cause of bias, I found overwhelmingly it is attributed merely to gender role and job role schemas. So it is just a learned association from working in that field. The impact of gender discrimination from the organisation's perspective, unideal candidates can be placed in positions, competent candidates can be rejected, and this can result in reduced productivity and lost potential revenue for the organisation. Similarly, bias towards or against specific social groups can result in low human capital, high turnover rates, and high absenteeism, which again costs the organisation a lot of money, resources, and time. From an individual perspective, women tend to feel less of a sense of belonging to STEM. They're less motivated to enter STEM fields and overall have a less positive regard for STEM occupations. Specifically, fewer women with IT and engineering degrees work in STEM than men with the same qualifications. And overall, this may recycle the stereotype that men are better suited to STEM because more men are working in STEM roles. Now, existing interventions, what I originally wanted to do was redact demographic information in job applications and also do debriefing post-interview for the hiring manager. What I found, though, is that neither of these are particularly effective. I also just looked at general diversity and sensitivity training, which, again, is at best inconsistently effective. So anti-bias training can sometimes exacerbate or even reinforce stereotypes because it highlights differences between men and women that some people may not have even believed previously. Post-interview debriefing actually requires a lot of mental load and time and resources, and sometimes hiring managers can feel that they're being monitored or coerced, which is obviously not what we want. And omission of demographic information can actually promote judgments based on neutral or ambiguous information. So the hiring manager may look at something like leisure activities and infer that that person is male or female. So existing interventions that seem to be effective, if there is a huge emphasis on job-related qualifications, skills, performance, and experience, that can actually be sufficient enough to minimize or eliminate gender bias. Similarly, making sure that the hiring process is centered on what candidates to include rather than what candidates to exclude from progressing to the next stage. That, again, just keeps the focus on job-relevant attributes. And organisations also need to be proactive in facilitating demonstration of job-relevant performance and skills during screening to make it as easy as possible for the applicants. So my proposition is specifically for screening applicants for a geospatial engineering position. So what I'm proposing is designing some frame of reference training for the team. So given that and, you know, in an organizational psychology perspective, I have no idea what geospatial engineering requires. So in collaboration with the senior GIS analyst, I want to formulate a frame of reference as a resume and a screening application task criterion with which to rate the applicants. So frame of reference training, I chose it because it results in less biased and more accurate rater assessments, and it has very high inter-rater reliability. Just briefly, the frame of reference, I would include dimensions such as the applicant's ability to interpret geospatial data and imagery, how knowledgeable they are in software programs, and how they can design visualization maps. I will also design a very brief, simple document allowing the raters to rate applicants on how well they've demonstrated these skills on a very simple Likert 1 to 5 scale, easy to interpret, very easy to use. Given that we need consensus for frame of reference rating, I need to train the senior analyst, the HR manager, and I would like an existing engineer, so someone on the applicant's level, to be trained in the frame of reference package, myself as well. All of the above employees and myself will rate the applicant's demonstration of skills using the checklist separately. Then I will compile all of the frame of reference checklists together and cross-match and look for the patterns there and which applicants seem to be rated consistently higher. With the online application, I would like it to actually include basic demographic details such as gender, but otherwise only job-related attributes. We won't be requesting any soft skills or personality attributes, as that can contribute to bias. It doesn't mean that applicants won't provide that. It's hopefully just maximizing job-relevant skills that are offered, that are declared by the applicant. Also wanting to do a data mapping task, which is again allowing the applicant to demonstrate their job relevant skills. So the applicants will be using provided mapping data to perform an extremely basic cartographic generalization task. Application will also include the geospatial reasoning ability test developed by Erskine et al. It's self-reported 12-item metric, and it assesses memory, orientation, and visuospatial and reasoning ability specific to geospatial disciplines. Now, part of the reason I want gender in the application is because the GRA test has different sample means for men and women. So I will need, when I'm scoring the test, I will need to know if the applicant is male or female so that I can score them accurately based upon their gender sample means. All of this information, the FOR, the screening task results, and the GRA, I will compile together and hand over to the HR manager, who will decide who progresses onwards. I did want to highlight some limitations that I was thinking of as I was designing this. In spite of the inter-rater reliability, there is still potential for the FOR to produce repeated inconsistencies when rating applicants. I actually have not thought of a remedy for this potential snag yet, unfortunately. I would like to highlight as well that my proposition doesn't have any impact on gender bias from stage 2 recruitment onwards. Also doesn't have, haven't had any anticipated impact on organization-wide gender bias. The reason I didn't design anything organization-wide or anything across the whole process is that, again, as I was reading, there's nothing consistently effective. So there probably needs to be some more research into interventions that produce more reliable results. And again, just reiterating, my goal was to minimize bias against women in hiring decisions, not to completely change the culture of an organization, which will take a lot longer. And that is my references, and that's my proposition. Thank you.